So, and then a little circle for the top of the candle. And then just simply draw lines down and a little curve at the bottom for the base. And I kind of like this blue look here, so it's kind of like the classic candles, I guess, that you buy at the grocery store. So I use this little blue fine liner. You can use anything. I mean, you can even use these Tombow twin tones if you have one. But I kind of pick pens based on like the color that they give me. So I'm gonna make these little slashes like that. And a yellow marker for the flame. And when I have these like next to each other like this, I'll alternate the way that the stripes fall just to give it visual interest. So if I draw another candle next to it, I'll probably have it falling the other way. Like that. And I'll also make my stripes go the opposite way. That just gives it a little bit more visual interest, and it kind of looks like it's just floating. Okay, so once we have our candle, it's really easy to add in this little cake because basically it's a candle and then you add the cake to it. So let's do that candle again. And then for the cake, I'm gonna start here, this line right here. Give it a little kind of a curve. And then starting here, I'm gonna go out, down, and just kind of freehand how the frosting falls. Come back up and connect. All right, and then add in the sides of your cake. Do a little curve at the bottom, and you have a little cake. And you can also put in little dots if you want. I don't always do that. Now you have your cake. Go ahead and color that in. And grab a pink. And for this pink, I'm using a Tombow dual brush pen. I think this number is 723 for this pink. I don't really use my brush pens for brush lettering. I just use them to color in my doodles. And I'm gonna give this cake color like a brownish beige color. This color I'm using is 990. But it's also fun to put in like funfetti. If you want to do like a funfetti cake, what you have to do is like put in some rainbow dots. Okay, so we have our cake and our candle, and then let's draw our little party hat. Grab my fine liner, and party hat, pretty simple. It's like a tall rectangle with rounded edges. So I'm gonna start at the top here, come down, make a little curve, come back up, and put in the little top. Draw in the tie. And put in the stripes. Pretty simple. You can use any colors you want here. I'm just using mainly pinks and purples today. When I choose colors for my cards or whatever I'm doing, I usually try to stick to like 2 or 3 colors so that it's not so overwhelming. And maybe I'll do them in like different shades or something, but kind of same family of colors. So those are your basic doodles. And then I put in these asymmetrical hearts and stars in a lot of my cards because they're really good fillers. So if I have like a lot of extra space or something over here and over here, I'll just add in some stars and hearts and it fills it up and it gives it some more visual interest without creating too much work. And for my hearts, I usually do like an asymmetrical heart. One side will be kind of small and then one side will be kind of big like that. And kind of like how I have the candles here, if I put a heart here and then I want to put another heart next to it, I'll kind of angle it a different way. Just so it looks like it's having fun on the page and not just sitting there. Kind of like that. And then in addition to altering the way it falls, I'm also altering the sizes. So I'll have small hearts and big hearts next to each other. And then I'll add some like a highlight in with my white gel pen, kind of like that. So those are my hearts. And then for the stars, the most simple, basic stars, nothing like crazy with these. Stars, fill it in. I don't usually add any highlights to the stars or anything because it gets kind of complicated, but I'll put stars in, and then just like the hearts and the candles, I like to alternate them so they look like they're floating through the page and not just sitting there. And I alter kind of the size and the way that they fall. If I wanted to add another one here, I'd maybe go this way, kind of like that. All right, so that was pretty simple. We have candles, candle and a cake, a little party hat, and then some really simple hearts and stars. So now you have all the basic kind of doodle elements for a fun birthday greeting card. So I think we should move on to making these letters. So I'm going to grab a fresh sheet. I'm gonna grab this fresh sheet here and my pinkish, reddish Crayola super tip. So usually when I start a card or a design or something, I'll put the lettering right smack in the middle. So I do the lettering first, and then I'll go back in and add my doodles around it and my stars and my hearts. So most of the page will be the lettering itself. And then I fill it in with the doodles. So let's start with happy. For the happy, I'm going to do all caps. And then birthday, I'm going to do it in more of like a cursive. And then underneath it, Punkpost in all caps. But you can write like a different name or anything like that. And I'm doing caps and then cursive and caps, alternating it like that. So again, it'll have a bit of visual interest. So I'm gonna do, let's see, I try to find the middle of my page, kind of right here, and kind of eyeball it. So happy, I'm gonna start here. And I'm just using the flat edge of my Crayola Super Tip. So they come in a cone and then I push down on it a little bit so that one edge of it is a little bit flatter. And then I just use that flat edge. So I'm gonna lay my words in, and just like the doodles, how I kind of alternate how they fall and their sizing, I'm gonna do the same thing with the happy. So maybe I'll have this one fall a little bit more this way to the right. And then the Y, I like to make it kind of a cursive Y. We have happy. And then for birthday down here, I'm gonna try to do that in all cursive. And I like to ghost it first just so I have an idea of how it's going to fall out or play out. So I think I'll start here. It's kind of a big B. Okay. Bring my A up here just to fill this space in here because I know my Y is going to come down and fill this space here. Okay, so we have happy birthday, and then we're going to do Punkpost. But feel free to use someone's name, your name, however you want to do it. Then remember, you can play around with how you place your letters, the size of your letters, because all that's just going to add some visual interest. Okay, so now we have the basic lettering laid out, and it's totally okay if it's like uneven, like there's more space here than here. It's totally fine because we're going to go back in and put doodles in and help even everything out. Okay, so now you have everything laid out, and now I'm just going to like rotate the tip of my super tip and use the point to make little rounds. And this is how I create the bubble letter look. It's super simple. Just lay out your words and then go back in and round it out. And you see here how there was a lot of space here. So when I came to round this one out, I extended it down a little bit to try to fill up that space. Just go in and round everything out. Even this little part of the R here, and where you cross your T. The tips of your Y.
Linda, Missy is really impressed with your bubble letters and has been wondering how you do them. And
Oh, thank you.
now she knows.
Yeah, it's super simple. It looks like really impressive and stuff, but it's really not. Okay, so everything's rounded out, starting to look bubbly. So we're gonna go in and just fill it in. Just fill it in. I like when the coloring is even and a little more opaque like this. So I go back in and I even everything out. It's a good time to make little adjustments if you need to. Round that one out a little bit more. Don't worry about making it too perfect. I mean, it's hand lettered, so I think part of the charm is that it's imperfect. So don't get too crazy and spend too much time making everything perfect and even. Once you add everything in, no one will really notice if things are a little bit off or doesn't look right. I never leave enough room to cross my teeth. All right, we're nearly there. 2/3 of the way there. And this is where the bulk of the work is. So once you have these letters rounded out, you're more than halfway there. Okay. Okay, cool. Now you have that all rounded and bubbly. I'm going to take my small fine liner, the size 2, and I'm going to add little line shadows on my right. You can add it on the left too if that's your preference, but I always add my shadows on the right. So basically, my sun is on the left and my shadow will fall on the right. So if you want to reverse it, that's how you reverse it. So I'm going to go in and add a simple line shadow to any downstrokes you see. So here would be a downstroke. I'm going to add the lines there. This would be a downstroke too. So to the right of all of my downstrokes, I'm going to add this simple line shadow. So it's not really a shadow, it's just a representation of a shadow. Don't forget these little bottom parts here, like the bottom of his Y. And try to follow the natural curve as much as possible. And down here, where the B is, that, that dot too. If you wanted to add a real shadow, you would just use a different colored marker instead of making a line like this. So you could use it like a gray marker or a different colored marker. That'd be fun. Maybe like a blue or something. Okay, so once these line shadows are in, we can already see that the letters are starting to pop a little bit more, which is the benefit of adding a shadow in. It'll help your letters pop off of the page and not look so flat. Okay, almost there. Don't forget that curve on the S. Oops, that one got a little crazy there, but it's okay. Okay, line shadows are in and it's already looking good. So next I'm gonna grab my white gel pen. This again is a Uniball Signo white gel pen, and I use this to highlight everything. So the highlight I'm going to do again, put it anywhere where I think a downstroke is going to go. So right here. And I don't put it right in the middle. I kind of put it off to the side a little bit. Okay, now it's really starting to pop once we have these highlights in. Adding these highlights is my favorite little trick to make things pop because you can add it to Doodles as well, and it just gives it more depth. So your letters and your doodles don't look so flat on the page. And it's something like super simple that you can easily add. Gives you maximum effect for just a little bit of effort. curve, curve, curve. And there you go. Awesome. Okay, so now we have all the letters in, and everything is shadowed and highlighted. So now time to put the doodles in. So for doodles, some people just put them in, but I like to sketch them in first because sometimes I like to move things around, and if I just use a permanent marker the first go around, it makes it a lot harder. So I'm going to look at this and say, okay, where do I want my cake? Probably somewhere up here. Just because there's space here that I can use up. I can put it here, 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 or even off to the side here, but I think I'm gonna go here. And I want my cake to kind of fall behind these letters here. So I want the body of the cake here. So I'm going to start my candle here. Take my pencil, kind of make a sketch. See how that falls. I think that's good enough. So now I'm going to put another candle here, falling to the right, since this candle is falling to the left. And then, let's see, I could put another candle here going this way, but I think I'm going to also make it fall to the left as well. No, let's go right. Okay, and then, let's see, I think that's good enough. Then I'm going to put a little party hat down here. Just a rough sketch in. If it's hard to see, I'm sorry. I will outline this in just a second and it'll show up pretty good. Okay, so let's see. So we have this section here and a little bit down here. I'm going to have a candle coming down here. One going this way because I want it to kind of balance this top end out. So, and then I'm gonna put another candle here. Again, alternating the way that they fall. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna take my larger fine liner. This is a size 3. And I'm going to outline my sketch that I just put in. And sometimes when I'm doing this, I'll shift it up or down as I need it. But at least the sketch on the bottom is already there for guidance. There you go. Okay. And this candle here. I feel like I need another candle right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put one in. Okay. looks pretty good. It looks pretty even. Let's see. I'm just gonna erase my pencil marks. Okay, erase my pencil marks, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and color everything in. So I'm gonna start here with this candle. The stripes are gonna fall one way, and then the stripes for the one next to it are gonna fall the opposite way. Okay. And flames. And party it. Pink frosting. The pink here on this party hat too. And my vanilla cake. Awesome. Okay. So we're nearly there. We have drawings on this top end and drawings on this bottom. So now we kind of need to fill in these areas here. This is where my hearts and stars come in handy. So there's a large space right here that I want to fill up. I'm going to go ahead and put in a big asymmetrical heart here. And fill that space in. Okay, now I want another one coming up here. I'm going to make it a smaller one. And it's going to fall the opposite way. And let me see, this one here. Let's actually go this way. And I'm going to leave that open. I'm going to put a little star there. Okay, let's come back down here. Since this big heart is falling this way to the right, I'm going to put a big heart falling the opposite way to the left. I don't want it to fall the same way because then it'll look, oh no, it'll look a little weird. It won't look as maybe loose as I want it to look. Right down here. Then I think maybe we can do one coming into this space right here. Okay. Now I'm going to put my stars in, and I'm just going to put them kind of like around the hearts. So again, I'm going to alternate the way that they fall. So since this heart is falling to the left, I'm going to make the star that I put here fall to the right. And I'm going to fill in this little space here with a star. rather than a heart. And I think we could use one maybe right here. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Cool. All right, now we have a space here, so I'm definitely going to put a star here. Going to the right, since the heart beneath it falls to the left. Then I'm going to put a star here, a bigger one. And then let me see. Wait, a little one here. I don't want to make it too big. And then let's see, another little heart here, or a little star, I mean. Okay. So now we have all our hearts and stars in, and you can see I kind of try to make it not fully connect, but balance it out and have some cohesion. Now I'm gonna take just a broad marker, this blue one, and put little polka dots in. And I use the polka dots to kind of tie everything together without adding too much to the page. So I'm going to put them in places that kind of have a little too much white space, like here, maybe here. And then I'm also trying to use it as like a connector, kind of like connect the dots. So let's start here, balance it out with one there. Do that. And see how that connects this drawing and these elements. I think one should go here. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for Linda? Thank you for walking us through all of that. And I, speaking as someone who writes cards, it's just amazing to watch you put that all together, and it
Thank you.
pretty much looks exactly like the example you gave. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Add any finishing touches there for sure. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can chat them to me, and I will ask Linda. I will give you, there's a link to this exact example if you want to take a look at that and want to reference it later on. We had it in our newsletter earlier this week, but that link right there will take you to an electronic copy of Linda's doodles that she prepped. And if you guys are ever looking for pens and markers and all of that good stuff, we do have an Amazon shop that's up, and it has a lot of our favorite pens and such in there. I will have a disclaimer that we do get a tiny kickback from anything you buy, but we really just have it out there for a resource to kind of highlight some of our favorites. Definitely everything Linda used today is in there, especially those white gel pens. I know those are a favorite among our writers for sure. Somebody asked how to sign up for our newsletter. You can do that on our website. I will put a link in there. We send it out every week. It's full of lots of Punkpost stuff, but it is also kind of where we put a lot of our freebies, like knowing about this class and the worksheets that go along with it. A lot of our deals on cards and stuff are also always in our newsletter first, and sometimes not on other places, even like our social. Any other questions for Linda? I was gonna ask, so I know you color in, you outline everything and then you color in. Does your pen never like smear or bleed or anything when you do that?
Not really. I mean, if you're using the Sakura Pigma Micron fine liners that I'm using today, and you give it just like a few seconds to dry, it should be smudge proof and
Okay.
waterproof. I mean, but I also kind of depends on the card. So if you're using like glossier
Mm-hmm.
cardstock, then you'll need to let it dry a little bit longer. But if you're just using regular paper, like printer paper or writing paper, they usually don't smudge for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a few more questions. Missy wants to know if you ever highlight the stars at all.
I don't usually highlight the stars just because I'm lazy. Because it's just like a lot of like angles and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to bother with that. But sometimes I will like shadow the stars with a gray marker. That seems to be, I don't know, more tolerable to me. But yeah, I don't usually highlight the stars or the hearts.
And I was gonna say we are reaching like the end of an hour. We do have it set up to go for like an hour and a half if you want to stick around. But if you have to go, we totally understand. Got a few more questions. Aaron wants to know what your favorite doodles or types of cards are to make.
I think probably love cards. Anything where I can like just put a bunch of hearts in there are kind of my favorite. And I don't know, I just like to like read people's love messages to each other. It's so cute sometimes. But yeah, usually I'm pretty inspired by people's messages. So if you're like writing a funny message or something, you'll probably get like really cool doodles out of me. Just because if it's just like a birthday, like I'll probably just use the same doodles over and over. But if it's something funny or unique, those are kind of like my favorite ones to write.
We got Logan, who didn't have any questions, but just saying Linda is amazing, and I
Oh,
would
thanks,
second
Logan.
that. And Aaron wanted to know if there are any materials that you don't recommend, or maybe that are difficult when you've used them or anything.
For cards, I don't know. I mean, I don't usually use like ballpoint pens on my cards, but that's just like a preference. I don't prefer ballpoint. I like gel pens, but gel pens sometimes aren't the best for cards just because they take a long time to dry. Um, and I guess alcohol markers because they bleed through a lot. I know like Anne really likes the alcohol markers, but I've never used them just because they will bleed right through a card. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. I don't know. Can't think of anything else.
And Michaela wants to know if you can repeat the sizes you use for the shadows
Oh
and the
yeah.
doodle outlines.
Yeah. So for the line shadow, I'm using a size 2, which is like, I don't know. I think there's a size 1 and then like a size 0.5 also. So 2 is a pretty fine one. And then any outlining that I do for doodles, I will either use a 3 or sometimes a 5. The 5, I go back and forth between a 3 and a 5. A 5 is just a thicker line. So if I really want a doodle to stand out, then I'll use a 5.
Perfect. Alex wants to know how much pressure you apply when writing and drawing.
Um, so I have I guess a pretty heavy hand. All my markers turn out like this. They're all like smushed on one side. And that's just how I like to write. And it gives me more control. But the disclaimer is if you're doing a lot of cards and you're gripping really hard and pushing down really hard all the time, your arm and your hand will fatigue faster. Um, so But yeah, I have a pretty heavy hand. I've been trying lately to like be conscious of it and not put too much pressure on it because you don't actually need that much pressure. It's more of like a technique when you're first beginning to like have better control. But once you've practiced enough, like now the challenge is to not put too much pressure on it.
And then Lex also wanted to know how you take care of your markers and pens so they last longer.
Uh,
But
I
that
don't
might
know
not
if
be the
yeah, I don't know if I have like a way to, I mean, I store them horizontally, so not vertically.
So like the colored, like the tip is down.
I
Oh,
just
sorry, like
store
this.
them like flat, like
Yeah,
this,
gotcha.
in
Sorry.
like a little cubby. Yeah, I don't like to store them like
Up and down.
standing up, just because I think like the ink will start to settle at the bottom of the marker more that way, and the tip will dry out faster. So I know a lot of people have like the Tombow cases that like stand up like this, but I don't know if I really recommend that. But yeah, I just store my pens all laying down. I have them in like a cubby in my desk.
Yeah,
But
she has a really great desk. If you have never seen it, it's featured quite frequently over on her Instagram at Quilsum. So definitely check that out after this. Trisha just says thanks for the opportunity and for sharing your amazingness, which we
yeah, girl.
definitely appreciate you taking the time this afternoon. Lisa wants to know, does the white Signal pen come in different sizes? If yes, what sizes do you recommend?
I don't know. I thought they just came in this size. I know Uniball does make a different white gel pen that is not as runny, I guess, and it's like
Gotcha.
a thinner barrel. But this one is the Signo UM-153. This is the one that I always use. The other one that's a little bit thinner, it just doesn't give, the ink flow just isn't as, I don't know, flowy. It just doesn't flow as well, so it'll be kind of streaky. But yeah, if you're looking for this one is definitely the best white gel pen I've used thus far, um, and highly recommend it.
Yeah, I would second that. I have some of the other ones, and this one
Mm,
definitely is the best for going over marker and such.
yeah.
Got a question from Mary. First off, Linda's amazing, which yeah,
Thanks, Mary.
she is your body font, like the font you use to point out the details in that project post, your own, or is there a tutorial out there you recommend?
Oh, you mean like this one? This.
I think like you're like handwriting with like a brush pen
Oh,
kind of thing. I don't know if you have a
oh.
pen handy and could do a little
Yeah.
example.
So you're talking about like
Yep.
this? Yeah. This is just my, oh sorry, it's upside down. This is just my own handwriting. And I use a Pentel sign touch pen. So they make this, it looks very similar to their just like regular felt tip marker, which is not a brush pen. So if you're looking for this one is the brush kind. And I guess you can tell the difference by like the barrel has like glitter on it, and then the
Mm-hmm.
regular one doesn't. But online, I think it can be confusing sometimes when you're
Yeah.
looking for this one.
You really
People
have to
end
look
up
for
buying the other one.
the brush word in it.
Yeah.
I think we only have the brush kind saved in our Amazon shop
Hmm.
currently. So if that
Yeah, but
helps.
this is just my handwriting, and I use this brush pen.
Do you have any tips for making it look like that? I'm sure it was a lot of practice and work in
Practice.
progress.
Yeah. I mean, I don't use brush pens a whole lot just because um, they are more work because you have to be like mindful of putting more pressure on your downstroke and then lightening the pressure on your upstroke. and I just don't have the patience for that. So especially I think when we're trying to like get through cards quickly, um, it just takes more time for me. I'm not like a brush lettering pro, so I don't use the brush pens that often, except for this little one that I use for like the body of my text. But really, it's just practice, and it's the same as if you're doing brush lettering, like pressure, more pressure down, less pressure going up. But yeah, it's just practice, and this is just my own writing. I just do it in all caps because it's easier that way. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
Mary is
yeah.
super impressed, and she wishes she had that natural handwriting. I think something that can be deceiving is that this is like our lettering, and it takes a lot of time and
Yes.
effort to write like that versus just like writing. Yeah, lots of practice to make it look that beautiful.
Yeah, this is not my regular handwriting at all. Um, my regular handwriting is terrible.
Erin wants to know if you have any tips for learning different fonts or styles for your lettering. Any kind of like go-to?
I mean, I don't have like people that I can remember off the top of my head. But my general recommendation is just to follow a bunch of people on Instagram who do lettering and even like typography people. So they're more like, graphic design, but they also focus on type. I just follow a bunch of those people, and when I see something cool, I try to imitate it, either like in a card, which is, always great practice, or I just kind of do it on my own, kind of doodling. But yeah, I think when you're learning, imitating and just kind of trying to reproduce what you see on the screen can go a long way. Obviously, you don't want to like pass that off as your own work, but it's totally fine if you're just learning and using it as practice. And then from there, you kind of branch out into your own thing. Like the stuff that I showed you guys here today, like I did not start off like with this came after maybe like 2.5 years of writing cards basically every day, to get to that point. So I think it's just a lot of like experimenting and trying out new things. And I know a lot of artists have a lettering worksheets that you can purchase and stuff like that, so I always recommend those.
And then Patsy said this is the highlight of her day. Thanks for sharing. And I mean, it's a highlight of our day for you guys to show up and learn from us.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't have any other questions, Linda, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just thanks for showing up, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we really appreciate it. And you can follow us on Instagram at Punkpost Co. It's probably where you maybe found about this class anyway. And you can continue to watch us for inspiration. We're going to try to have some more of these classes. Thanks for hanging with us through our technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We will regroup and try to like hone it in and see what we can do for next time. But yeah, it was really great, and we will have this recording up for everyone to check out, and you'll be able to watch her draw. It's always nice to see people do things again and again to kind of see what they're doing. And yeah, we hope you enjoyed, and we hope you have a great rest of your Sunday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.